Hey guys, so I'm back. This is my forging area which I'm starting to work on. I've sort of been slowly digging out this area for like 3-4 months. It's just taking time because I don't get out here very often. I'm hoping once I finish the thing I will. I'll be out here all the time forging and smithing. So these L-shaped blocks, there was four layers high in an incinerator sort of form when we took up residence here, which was 8 months ago thereabouts. And so, I think whoever lived here before us, maybe several tenants before, because we're renting, they didn't take care of the backyard very well. We found, within the process of digging in the backyard, digging up the soil, we found toothpaste, plastic, hula hoops, which some of these rings, these metal rings, might be from. Pretty much all this metal that I've got here laid out, bar the rebar, is from the ground, just digging. And I'm going to try and use a lot of it to practice on, including the rebar, which I picked up at a junkyard, along with this piece of rail track, big piece, but with a narrow working surface and a barbecue plate, which I had planned to use as sort of a base for this semi-truck brake drum, because it's obviously too big and there's a huge hole in the bottom. So I was thinking maybe drill a hole in the middle of the barbecue plate and put that underneath, but it's just going to be too much work, so I sort of gave up on that. And so I went to a scrapyard today, Hornsby Scrapyard. Well, I think the business name is Hornsby Scrap Metal. And they're at 29A King Road in Hornsby in Sydney. So I went down there. We were running late because I had to pick up my brother from school before going there, and they closed at 4. So just got there in time, 10 minutes to go. I kid you not, within literally about 3 seconds of entering the compound, we spotted this piece of I-beam. Absolutely perfect. So, huge working surface, obviously. And I've got a tape measure here, I can measure it. Length is about 370mm. Width around 200mm. A little bit more, 203mm wide. So that's a large working surface, and you guys can tell me what kind of weight or size, because I have no idea, what kind of, I think probably an 80 kilo London pattern anvil would have a working surface, a working table that large, possibly. And those are pretty expensive. They're probably around $800. And this will work quite well. I think on the sides it'll probably start to bend down a bit, and I could probably shape a horn out of one end and things like that, sort of modified over time to suit my needs and purposes. So let's see how we go with that. But that's a nice ASO, anvil-shaped object, that'll work well for my purposes. So the barbecue plate's sort of going to be gotten rid of, and the rail track's not going to be particularly useful anymore. But after 5 minutes of wandering around in the scrapyard at Hornsby Scrap Metal, I found these 2 brake drums from a car. So there's the one from a truck, semi-truck, and these are from a car. So they're literally quite shallow. Get out the tape measure. They're really only about 70mm deep. They're quite shallow. And then in terms of width, 315, and then that inner rim 200 thereabouts. So pretty small, but it works well because you only need a small space to heat the metal in. If you heat a large area of metal, you're not going to be able to work on it before it cools down, so you're just wasting energy. And that's what I realized a couple of weeks after having this huge semi-truck brake drum sitting around for a while. So I figured, got to get rid of it. And my sister's going to use it as a fire pit for a campfire in the backyard, which would be good. So that's all that. And hopefully I'll have another update soon where I've sort of started to attach piping to the bottom of these brake drums. I'm going to have to get a flange make a brake drum forge, get a flange, put that underneath, and then get some steel piping and screw that on, have a T-intersection for a tweer, and have some sort of blower that's weatherproof out here, because I don't have a structure to cover it from the weather, the rain and things like that. And then some sort of an end cap to dump ash out of after it started to fill up with ash and clinkers and things like that. Although I don't think I'll have clinkers because I'm using charcoal. But I'll have little bits of slag that might come off scale and things like that that fall through. So I'll have to be able to open the bottom of the piping and let all that out. But it should be good. It'll sit in this area just here, where this is. So just in there, I'll come up with some sort of a frame to have it sitting in there. Maybe an old barbecue hood and shell, and just cut a hole in the bottom and have the brake drum sit in that. Because I've seen a couple of guys do that. Wilderness Outfitters being one YouTube channel for a Pathfinder school. Can't remember the guy's name, but he does that in his little shed, and it's very useful because the brake drum is sort of the forge, the fire pipe, and the rest of the barbecue area space inside it, you're able to just put your coal there and it doesn't burn. So I'll see if I can find one of those, and hopefully have a nice setup here for smithing and forging. So thanks for sticking around watching this video, and stay tuned for the next update.